Do you have problems with prepositions in English? You probably do, because most of non-native speakers have problems with prepositions because they don't make any sense. Well, if you are like most of my students and have no idea how to use prepositions in English, I hope this video will help you a lot, because we are going to look at 10 most common preposition mistakes in English, and we will look at them with business-related examples. We're going to start with the complete list of all the mistakes. I would like you to stop the video, analyze the mistakes, write down your corrected versions of them, and after that, come back to me and we are going to look at how to correct those mistakes correctly. Here is the complete list. Pause the video and try to find where the mistakes are. Now you're back, which means that you have worked with the list and you are ready to look at the corrected list of all these mistakes. So the first one is, Juan told to my boss about the project. What happens here is that to after told is unnecessary. But be careful, because if you are using the word say, which is very, very similar to the word tell, then yes, then we need to use to. So you would say to me, but tell me. Knowing that, how would you correct this mistake? 1 second for you to give me the answer, and here's mine. Juan told my boss about the project. To is unnecessary after tell.
Tell me. Oh, please tell me.
If you are struggling with this problem, I would recommend you to read more about the difference between tell and say and figure out when and how they are used in English. Now, I'm going to give you 3 sentences with a mistake. Let's analyze them. Number 1, Tanya told me a secret. I said, Jim, that I'm not interested. I told to the client to call me anytime. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to think. You have your answer. If you need, pause this video, find your incorrect option, and come back to me. And now I will tell you that the sentence with the mistake here is the last one, because we just learned that we do not use to after tell, which means we would just say, I told the client to call me anytime. What about the other 2? Are they correct? No, they're not, because we also have a problem in the second sentence. As we learned, we do not use to after tell, but we use to after say. So, which means we would have to say, I said to Jim that I'm not interested. And the first sentence, is it okay? Tanya told me a secret? Told me. That's fine. Okay, so that was our mistake number 1, and we are moving to the mistake number 2. Our accountant is married with Angela. And the mistake here is that the preposition with is incorrect here. We do not say married with. That's not Spanish. In English, we use a different preposition. Do you know which one? The correct preposition is to. Our accountant is married to Angela. Married to.
It's like being married to my best friend.
The topic that you can Google is about prepositions of relationships, because we would use different prepositions with words like married, divorced, separated, engaged, widowed, etc. So check out this topic to make sure that you know the correct preposition for each of those words. Now let's have a look at 3 sentences. Is there any mistake? I'm married to my best friend. They've been married for 10 years. Anne is married with a doctor. If you said it's in number 3, you are correct, because we do not use the preposition with, and we say to. So we say Anne is married to a doctor. I hope you got it right. And we move to the next mistake. I'm good in negotiation. As you probably guessed, the preposition in is not the correct preposition for this sentence. So if it's not in, what preposition do we use after good? I hope you have your answer, and my answer is at. I'm good at negotiations. good at?
What are you good at?
To learn more about this topic, I recommend you to review prepositions of ability. When you say I'm good at, I'm bad at, I'm excellent at, I'm horrible at. The great thing is that we always use the preposition at after all these adjectives. Let's see if you can spot a mistake in one of the sentences. She's brilliant at maths. I'm not bad for solving problems. What are you good in? There's more than one mistake in these sentences. And for example, in the sentence number 3, we have a preposition in, and we just learned that we use a different preposition, right? So you would say, what are you good at? Is there any other mistake in these sentences? And it's in the second sentence, because here we have for, and it's not for, it's at. I'm not bad at solving problems. We discussed about the budget. The problem here is that the verb discuss does not require any prepositions. And I want you to be careful here, because if you replace discuss with talk, then we say talk about. How would you correct the sentence? We discussed the budget. We discussed the budget. Remember that discuss and talk are different. They mean exactly the same thing in most cases, but they are used differently in English. One requires preposition and the other one does not.
When you decide to talk about that, we can discuss on your phone.
Here are 3 sentences for you to find a mistake. My team discussed about the new strategy. We never discussed the meeting agenda. Let's talk about the new office. So, any ideas? 3, 2, 1. And the mistake here is in the sentence number 1, because we just learned that we do not use any prepositions after the word discuss. So we would actually say, my team discussed the new strategy. Very simple. Much shorter, right? Forget about. There's no about. Discuss the new strategy. Any more mistakes in these sentences? No? I also agree with you. There are no more mistakes in these sentences. What about this one? We have a mistake in it depends of the market trends. This one is one of the most common mistakes made by Spanish speakers. So be careful and remember that we do not use the preposition of after depend. And here is the correct one. It depends on the market trends. It depends on the market trends. On, depends on, depends on, depends on, depends on. The only way for you to remember is actually by memorizing this collocation. Depend on, depend on. With this combination and with others. Prepositions in English don't make sense. So we cannot just say, okay, with these verbs we use these prepositions, and with those verbs we use those prepositions. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like this. If you think of that in Spanish, it also doesn't work like this. Okay. Here are 3 sentences for you to find a mistake if there is any. Success depends on hard work. What does it depend? It depends on the weather. Any mistakes? Okay, so probably you spotted the mistake in the sentence number 3, because we just looked at a similar mistake and learned that after depend, we actually use the preposition on. So we would say, it depends on the weather. Exactly like it is in the first sentence. Success depends on hard work. And what about the sentence number 2? What does it depend? Should we use a preposition there or should we not? This one is a little bit more advanced grammar. So if you do not know how to make questions with prepositions, I recommend you to Google it, to learn about that. But what we actually need to do in this sentence is we need to include the preposition. Because if you think of that, our real question is de qué depende. So in English, we do the same. We say, what does it depend on? We take the preposition from the question word and put it at the end of the sentence.
Where are you from? What are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
What does it depend on? We are halfway through our list of mistakes, and now the mistake number 6. Spain is different of my country. Preposition of is not correct here. We do not say different of. How would you correct that? Of is not correct here, so what preposition should we use? It is from. Spain is different from my country.
How's that different from what I said?
As I mentioned before, the best way for you to learn what prepositions to use is by memorizing the collocations. Different from, different from, different from, depend on, different from, depend on, different from. 3 sentences for you to find a mistake. The movie is different from the book. Your idea is different of mine. This version is different than the original. I hope you paid attention, because in these 3 sentences, we have 3 different prepositions and only one is correct. So the incorrect one would be the second one. Your idea is different of mine. We don't say that. And also the third sentence is incorrect because we wouldn't say this version is different than the original. The only correct preposition after the adjective different is from. Different from. So the movie is different from the book. Moving to the mistake number 7, and here we have, she is afraid public speaking. So the mistake here is that we do not have any prepositions and we need one. The adjective afraid requires a preposition. We need something after afraid. So do you know what preposition we need to put? And the preposition is of. She's afraid of public speaking. And a little tip for you here, we use exactly the same preposition with all the adjectives that are about fear. Afraid of, scared of, terrified of, all of them work the same way.
I'm not afraid of anything.
You're afraid of everything, Benny.
3 sentences for you to find a mistake. Most people are afraid of spiders. What are you afraid? She's not afraid of making mistakes. If you chose the first one, you are absolutely correct because we missed a preposition there. Most people are afraid of spiders. Are you afraid of spiders? I am. So that's one mistake. What about the second? What are you afraid? Remember what we said before about prepositions in questions? So this is one of these ideas because we would actually say, what are you afraid of? Yeah? Because your real question is of what? Of what? Of what are you afraid? So we need to include the preposition in the question. Mistake number 8. He explained me the new policy. I would say this mistake is the most complicated in English. There's no one simple explanation what preposition you would normally use after explain. It would depend on the combination of words in the sentence. But to simplify it all, the problem here is that explain requires a preposition before the object. The object being the person receiving the information. Right? So I explain, here's you who's receiving the information. So you are the object and I give you some information. Right? So this is the process. So before this object, I need to put some preposition. And in our sentence, we do not have any preposition because we say he explained me. I received the information and there's no preposition before me and I need one. Do you know which one? And the one that we need to use here is to. He explained the new policy to me. Look at the position of words in this sentence. We completely changed the sentence.
Explain it to me one more time.
This topic is more complicated. As I told you, I invite you to learn about the transitive verbs if this topic is too complicated for you and there is something to learn about it. For now, let's check these sentences and see if there are any mistakes in them. She explained us the conditions of the contract. Can you explain this to me? Can you explain? If you chose the first one, you are absolutely correct. This sentence is very similar to the sentence in the original mistake. So we would say, she explained the conditions of the contract to us. Can you explain this to me? Looks good to me. Can you explain? And look, in the last question, we eliminated completely all the objects. Can you explain? And it works absolutely fine in English. Can you explain? If you wanted to add the person who you're explaining things to, we would have to put also the what it is that you're explaining, right? So you either say, can you explain? Or can you explain this to me? But you would not say, can you explain to me? We would need to have all the objects there. We're almost done with the list. We have 2 mistakes left. I hope you've been learning a lot in this video. If so, I would like you to share it in the comments. Tell me which prepositions are the most useful for you. And now we are looking at the sentence number 9, which is, she's interested about marketing. Any ideas? What's wrong here? And what's wrong is the preposition about, because it's not the preposition that we would use in the sentence. We use a different preposition. Do you know which one? 3, 2, 1, and it is in. We say she's interested in marketing. Again, for you to learn these things, I just recommend you to memorize it. And you just know that it is interested in. Here are 3 sentences for you to analyze. A good candidate is interested in learning new skills. My boss is interested in photography. I'm interested. Tell me more. Any ideas? Probably you picked the second sentence and saw that we used on here, and it's not on, it's in. And my boss is interested in photography. And what happens in the last sentence? I'm interested. Should we include the preposition there too? Well, we should not. It's not a question. If it was a question, we would say, what are you interested in? But in a positive sentence, in an affirmative sentence, we do not need to use a preposition because we just say, I'm interested. I'm fine. I'm great. I'm interested. Right? You're describing how you feel about the project. I'm interested. Tell me more. So there's only one mistake in this list. And that means we got to our last mistake of the list with prepositions. And the sentence that we need to analyze is, I listen music every day. So the mistake here is about the verb listen that requires a preposition. Which preposition do we use after listen? 3, 2, 1, and the preposition that we use is to. We always say, I listen to. Listen to. I listen to music every day. So I recommend you to memorize that we say listen to, listen to, listen to, listen to, listen to.
Listen to me. Are you listening?
I listen to podcasts on my way to work. Everybody in my team listens the news every day. What are you listening to? Do you see any mistakes there? So if you paid attention, then you know that in the second sentence we missed the preposition to. So we would actually need to say everybody in my team listens to the news every day. Anything else? What are you listening to? Is this a good question? Yes, it is. As we learned in the previous 2 examples, we need to include the preposition in questions, right? So we say, what are you listening to? I'm listening to podcasts. We finish the question with the preposition.
One thing before you go.
Below this video, you can find a PDF with top 30 grammar mistakes made by Spanish speakers. I recommend you to download it and work through each of those mistakes. This way, you will make sure that you would immediately elevate your English to the next level and stop making all these common mistakes that most people make. And with this, we are done, and I will see you in the next video.